Hello and welcome back to another episode of my MotoGP 20 career mode here for our second season in MotoGP. Now I've got the French Grand Prix this time, and if you remember back to last year, that was the venue between me and Marquez, our first real battle I think really. We had quite a good battle. I got pole actually in the race, lost the lead, got stuck behind Vinales for a lap, got past Vinales, Marquez had cleared off, I had to reel Marquez in, and the rate I caught him looked like I'd easily get past him, but actually I got stuck behind him for the whole race. Made one dive sort of at the last lap, failed, and Marquez manages to win the race. Obviously that's what happened last year. Hopefully we can try and get some vengeance for that this year. So we advance forward a week then. We've got no notifications. What about the junior team? We've actually got one for planning for next year. So a better grade, but worse stats. I'm not having that, right? So we're not hiring that person. So then we'll look at the championship standings just to recap what happened in the previous episode. Obviously, the race last time, pretty boring actually. I got out the front on the first lap, pulled away from Marquez. I think I won the race by about 11 seconds, I think it said at the flag, but I was actually 13 seconds in front. It just did the glitch where they do ridiculous lap times after you've gone over the line. It takes a couple of seconds out of your lead for whatever reason. And basically because of the inconsistencies of my rivals, I've now got a 39-point lead ahead of Andrea Dovizioso in second, Valentino Rossi on the Petronas Yamaha in third place there. Pol Espargaro in fourth and Alex Rins in fifth. But Marc Marquez, the man on the resurgence, he's come second place to me 2 times in a row now. He's actually not that far away from Dovizioso, so he's only 12 points off of second position, and he sat down there in 6th place. That is how close this championship is. It's absolutely ridiculous how close it is, just because top runners have been either underperforming or crashing or things like that. So you've got people like Alex Marquez up in the top 10, when I don't think he's actually qualified off the back row of the grid yet, which is quite interesting. Actually, he might have got through to Q2 on one of the races, but he's not been qualifying well. He's been racing quite well. See, Fabio Quartararo on the factory Yamaha has actually started on the front row twice, but is down in 10th in the championship. So it's absolutely chaotic season so far. So if we have a look at the Constructors' Championship, basically for the same reason, all my rivals have been crashing or underperforming in a couple of cases as well. Obviously, Marc Marquez has crashed out of 2 races. Well, not out, but he crashed out of one and crashed in another, and didn't score points, so he couldn't get back up into the points. So that's why Marquez is so far down the order. But yeah, we've got a 29-point lead ahead of Ducati. But obviously, like I said before, Marquez is on his resurgence now, and he's bringing the Honda back up because the Pole did hold up the fort fairly well. That's why they're not too far behind Ducati. And in the Teams Championship, similar story really. Repsol Honda team only 5 points behind the Ducati. I would be fairly surprised if Repsol Honda aren't second and the Honda are second in the Constructors by the end of this episode. Also, I wouldn't be too surprised if Marquez has leapt ahead of Rossi in the championship if we have a look at those points. Oh, I didn't actually look at the gaps properly. There's 2 points separating 3rd to 6th in the championship. Oh, sorry, 3 points. But that's almost as crazy. So yeah, I would be very surprised if Marquez has not sat 3rd, even potentially 2nd in this championship by the end of this race. But obviously he's got to gain quite a few points on Dovizioso to make that happen, 12 points. But Rossi's nearly 10 behind him. But wow, this is a close championship. I hadn't even noticed that. This has definitely been the best in terms of the AI. If you look at this, imagine this championship battle in real life. All these riders so closely contested. If you forget me in first, imagine this. It'd be absolutely crazy. But without any further ado then, don't want to ramble on for too long. We're going to head into the French Grand Prix now, and I'll see you in qualifying 1. So then, here we are in Le Mans for qualifying 1. Once again, another dry weekend. And I was just thinking, to be honest, the amount of wet weather sessions or races that we had around this point of the season last time was ridiculous. We had a wet qualifying at Jerez, we had a wet qualifying at Le Mans, I think it was a wet weekend at Mugello, and we've not had a single wet session yet this season. It's been really, really strange. So in this session with us then, we've got Miguel Oliveira, Franco Morbidelli, Takaki Nakagami, Aiko Lecuona and Danilo Petrucci, Francesco Bagnaia, Aleix Espargaro, Cal Crutchlow, Jorge Martin, Jean Zarco, Alex Marquez and Tito Rabat. So usually the same sort of suspects. To be honest, it's only ever Oliveira just swapped for Binder really. Nakagami's still underperforming a little bit this season. So then I'm going to head straight out onto the track. Obviously we got pole here last year, that was in the wet conditions though, but we did have really good pace in the dry as well, so I'm assuming it will be able to carry that over, especially onto the Suzuki, which turns beautifully. The Suzuki feels like silk, which is why I said in the previous episode I'm not going to upgrade the bike anymore. Obviously you saw there's an engine upgrade coming, but after that engine upgrade I'm not going to do any more upgrades because we're winning the races way too easily at this point. I might even have to starting at the back of the grid for some of the races as well. The only thing that really puts me off starting at the back constantly is the lack of credits and potential lack of loss of reputation even. That wouldn't do us any good. I mean, if you still win the race or do well, then that's fine. But if you don't manage to do well, like a track with that AI are really good, such as Kimi Ring, Renault, tracks like that. I think I might still struggle to win the races there. But we start our qualifying lap then here at Le Mans. Not even got any anti-wheelie upgrades on this bike yet, which is absolutely crazy to think about. It usually would be the first thing you'd want to put on. Interestingly enough, I have an engine braking upgrade, but not an anti-wheelie, even though really the anti-wheelie is more pressing. Although I did feel like the bike was pushing the front a little bit with the previous engine braking, sorry. But we're 2/10 away from the time in the first sector so far. Francesco Bagnaia just ahead of us there. Can we try and catch him as we go down towards Museum? In the brakes at the Shark sign then into Museum, or Musée, obviously that's French for museum. Which is quite weird. This is about the only track really where I'll know the corner names, but I know them in English. Which is quite weird. No, some of them in French as well, like Garage Fair. Well, I know them all in French, but I'll say them in English, like Museum, for example. But we're 2,000ths away now, whilst I was rambling about that. So we found some time on whoever currently has the fastest time in this qualifying one session. Hopefully it'll be me very shortly. Getting a decent toe off Bagnaia there as we go down towards the chicane, the Chemin of Boeuf. I'm not really sure what that means, to be honest. I know what some of it means. 3/10 underneath though, we take a massive time out and we're still right behind. Bagnaia, I've lost the front as well. Oh dear, that is terrible. We have to get back on the bike. But I trailed too much brake trying to catch up to Bagnaia. We've only got minor damage, so it's probably not a massive problem. Jorge Martin is right behind us now. But we are still in front of Martin, so we'll go for one more lap then. Hopefully we can try and go top of the session with that one. I'm going to have to try and shut up and just get on with it, because that was a really bad mistake there on the front end. The bike actually didn't give me much feedback on the front. Although it is MotoGP 20, that's nothing new. So a 37.1 then. Jorge Martin goes flying past me. So half a second off in the first sector because I had to repass Martin. Still nearly half a second away. 1/10 away then. Alex Marquez has now gone fastest with a 32.0. Up towards the line then. What's the time going to be? 32.008. So actually still fastest, despite the damage and having to pass Martin. So we'll head back to the pits. We'll probably have to do another lap because we're only just top of the session. And oh, we almost got in the way of Martin then. That was quite dangerous. The bike has been repaired, but we're actually still in first place. It's not enough time for us to go out again. But look how close these times are. I'm so uncomfortable with how close they are and how much a little improvement could really screw me over here. We're down into second position now with 51 seconds to go. So then just getting through there by the skin of his teeth. We're actually a 10th behind Oliveira there. So Oliveira, pretty decent time getting through then on the KTM. So fair play to him. But yeah, doing a lap with damage and trying to pass a rider on the set at the same time, because it was a dive bomb move. Round the outside, through the fast right hander, and then up the inside to the left, which everyone knows costs you time, but I thought I would have lost more time behind him, which I probably wouldn't have done actually, but there you go. Whatever, we still got through with that. It was a close call, but we managed to make it anyway. So let's head into qualifying 2 now then, and hopefully we shouldn't have so many difficulties, and I really don't want to crash this time and get some damage.
A few more minutes and the Moto3 race will begin. Right now we are at the starting grid waiting for the riders to receive the signal to start the warm-up lap.
Okay. I'm getting ready to go into qualifying 2, like I'm just ready for qualifying 2 and I've been put into my Moto3 race. Right, so I guess we're starting 12th in the race then. I have no idea what's happened with that. That's confusing. Yeah. Okay, that's actually caught me off guard quite a bit, that has, as you can probably tell. So this is going to be an interesting race for us then. But anyway, on to Moto 3 then, because for some reason, I did get second in that session. I'm sure I got second in that session. But now we're not going through to Q2 for whatever reason that is. Top 2 goes through to Q2 and I've just not been put through. So yeah, that's quite interesting. So then Manuel Hernandez is in 24th place. I didn't actually see where Daisy Jackson qualified because I was just perplexed to why we were now in the Moto 3 race. But anyway, let's get this started. Hopefully our riders can do a good job. So let's start this race. Daisy Jackson looks like she's actually in the top sort of 15, so looks like she's doing a pretty good job here. Where is she starting? Yeah, she's 15th place already. So that should bode pretty well for her. We're on the TV cam already, which is what I wanted to be on, so that's good. So we're waiting for the lights to go here at Le Mans. Lights out and away we go. Daisy Jackson off to a decent start already. Get past Alberto Arenas off the line, trying to get some slipstream off of Tony Arbolino to go down towards the first corner. Well, sort of just flat out through the first corner. She's up to 10th place already. It's been a fantastic start. If she could pick off some more as well rather than rest of that, that'd be fantastic, because her starts have been fantastic all season. Alonso Lopez up the inside of her to go through the first couple of corners. I can see Hernandez in the background there. What place is Hernandez? And Hernandez is up to 16th, so he's had a great start as well. I think he's passed about 8 people there. That's ridiculous. But Daisy Jackson still running in 10th then, around the outside through La Chapelle. There goes Lopez up the inside. She's trying to get the move on Tony Arbolino as they go down towards Museum. I think she's actually ahead of Lopez again. Lopez trying to go around the outside. Lopez actually has been running the outside line through most of these corners. It has seemed to work out for him, but actually she's back in front of him once again. Side by side now with Arbolino. Lopez trying to make it 3 wide as they go down towards Garage Vert. That's a corner I would not want to go 3 wide into. Lopez on the inside. Lopez up the inside. Fair play to Lopez. He's hung it around the outside and he's just stuck it through. And he's actually pulled it off. So Jackson loses a place and gains a place at the same time. So, well, I say she's down to 10th, but it's now so she's 9th again. Because I think she's getting a switch off Vietti and it's allowed her to get back past Lopez. So Lopez had a terrible run on that straight. So Dennis Foggia is now the rider ahead of us. They go through the chicane and you can see in the background Hernandez is on his way as well. So if we swap over to Hernandez, he's up to 14th place. So we've actually missed his start, but it's been very good. Jackson being repassed again by Lopez. So Lopez being very aggressive on this first lap. Arbolino trying to run around the outside. The 2 Red Bull KTM IO bikes side by side as well. Obviously with Fernandez and Toba going side by side. But on the inside goes Arbolino into the penultimate turn. So Jackson losing a couple of positions now. She's back down into 11th. Will Toba get past her though? That is the only time will tell. Antonelli not got such a good start this time. Usually he's leading the race. He's only in 6th place. That's quite interesting to note. So actually Messia could gain some decent points on him in the championship. But really focused on our riders. But it is nice to kind of see what's going on with the other AI as well. So Jackson back up into 10th place. She got back past Arbolino and Toba's now got past Arbolino as well. So on board with Hernandez. He's back down into 16th again. I think he was up into 14th at one point, but Rodrigo and Salach seem to have got back in front of him. So hopefully he can try and get past the pair of them pretty shortly. Jackson looks like she's trying to hang on to the back of Lopez. It's nice that she's got a bit of a gap to Toba behind. Here goes Hernandez, and Hernandez side by side with Rodrigo as we go down towards Garage Vert. Rodrigo still on the inside. Is Hernandez going to hang it round the outside? Not quite, but he's going to carry a decent run through Garage Vert actually. Salach hasn't got the best run onto the straight. So now Mino leading instead of Messia, so that's quite interesting to see as well. So this race definitely a bit different so far. But there we go, Hernandez has got past Rodrigo up into 15th position. And he's looking for an outside move on Philip Salach as well. We've actually missed that Jackson has closed right up to the back now of Foggia and Lopez. So good job we've swapped to her now that we've seen that she's caught right up. There's Antonelli, the championship leader, battling with Fenati. So Antonelli definitely struggling in this one. So I suppose it was worth mentioning him because our rider's now in the same group as him. And Foggia trying to get up the inside of Lopez. That could definitely affect his run as they start the third lap, they finish the second lap. Mino leads then ahead of Messia in second, McPhee in third. So McPhee actually doing pretty well in this race. Suzuki fourth, Celestina Vietti fifth, Fenati sixth, as Lopez in 7th side by side with Antonelli there in 8th, and then Foggia 9th and Jackson in 10th position. Well, Antonelli's been dive bombed. Oh, Antonelli's actually got to the front of that group once again, so he's got past Fenati and he managed to stay ahead of Lopez. But here we go, Jackson side by side with Foggia. Here comes Toba now out of nowhere. Toba's catching that group because of all the battling. And it looks like Hernandez has dropped back behind Rodrigo again, so that's unfortunate for Hernandez. He's actually starting to underperform a little bit in this season. So through Garage Vert then. This is where our bikes have actually been getting really good exits compared to the AI, to be honest. Like the other AI, obviously they're all AI, my riders are AI as well, but the other teams we've been getting exits compared to them that are better. But here we go then, side by side with Lopez. Can Jackson pull it off on the brakes into the chicane? Oh, very close, but not quite. Not quite enough to get through there as we go down towards the next right-hander. Can Jackson get up the inside of Lopez into here? Not quite. So as they come through the last corner, the Mino is getting away at the front. Messia second then, Suzuki third, fourth for McPhee, Celestina Vietti fifth, Antonelli sixth then, Fenati seventh, Foggia eighth, Lopez in ninth, and obviously Jackson still sat in 10th there on the back of this group. But it's better to be in there, maybe conserving your tyre a little bit than risking a crash trying to do an aggressive move on somebody, that's for sure. So swapping back to Hernandez for a little minute just to see what's going on with him. He's actually back in front of Rodrigo now and he's back chasing down Philip Salach. And meanwhile with Jackson, she's getting a bit of a toe off of Foggia, but it's not enough to let her pull alongside Lopez. So perhaps she might start to drop back a little bit now. 10th place would still be a good result, not going to lie. But if she could try and get a little bit higher, that would be great. Obviously she's got 2 laps almost to still try and gain some more positions. So if she can do that, that'd be great. But she's really turning out to be a first lap demon in this season. She's been fantastic on the first laps as they go into the penultimate turn then, flicking it through, coming towards the final corner now. Messia's actually caught back up to Mino a bit. Suzuki is on his way as well. McPhee's dropped behind Vietti and Suzuki as well on that lap, so not a good lap for McPhee. So that must mean McPhee's probably dropping backwards. Antonelli's catching up to McPhee as well. Will that allow McPhee to slip into the clutches of this group? Hopefully it will. So Hernandez is no longer chasing Salah, it's now Fernandez in front of him. Andy's in 15th, which obviously I hadn't mentioned before, but that means he actually is going to meet our objective. He's got to the inside of Fernandez through La Chapelle. He couldn't quite pull it off there, but Salach is the one on the move because I think he's caught and passed Arbolino now, which is absolutely immense. You can see there, Jackson's still hanging in that group there, just ahead of him. So actually, he's a group behind it, although I suppose the two snipers are on their own between them. So actually, there's a group between them, the two sniper teammates there. And it looks like Salach is actually going for a move on Arbolino. Can he pull it off? But there we go, Hernandez up the inside of Fernandez. When they've got such similar names, it's hard to sometimes say it right. But here we go then, Hernandez ahead of Fernandez as they go down the straight towards the chicane. Fernandez still has the inside. Can he do anything about it? They're running out. So Manuel on the outside. Yes, he gets up into 14th position. So once again, onto the tail of Philip Salach. And he's being held up a little bit now by Tony Arbolino. So can Hernandez gain some positions right at the dying laps of this race? A little bit like he did in Qatar. He definitely came through at the end of that one. So we're about to start the final lap then. Fenati's just been passed by Lopez, so it's definitely worth noting. McPhee has dropped right towards Antonelli, but it's not going to be enough. This group is not going to catch up to McPhee, so this is the fight then for 7th position. The two Husqvarnas, the Leopard and the DHL Honda then of Daisy Jackson. Can she try and get past one of the Husqvarnas? It looks like Fenati is actually struggling a little bit now, so hopefully she can try and get past Romano. So she's actually closing right up to him as they go out of La Chapelle. I think Lopez is struggling a little bit because he had to go a little bit defensive against Fenati. You can see in the background Hernandez is catching up to the back of Arbolino, it is now. So Salach has dispatched of Arbolino. Can Hernandez get past Arbolino as well? That remains to be seen, but we're still watching Jackson as she tries to get past Romano Fenati down towards Garage there. He's going defensive. Can she run it around the outside? Can she just get a better exit than him and carry it down the straight? She's carried it through the corners. Will she get the better exit down the straight? We go. Arbolino is still ahead of Hernandez in the background. Slipstream City then now for Daisy Jackson. Can she get past Romano Fenati? She's kind of sat to the left-hand side of him a little bit too early there. She should have pulled out the slipstream a bit later because that's definitely cost her to go through the chicane and then down towards the corner where I famously did a 5-man overtake back on MotoGP 18. Up the inside goes Jackson. Oh, she was almost alongside in there in the braking zone, but she was just a little bit too far behind. As we come to the end of this final lap then, it looks like she's not going to quite manage to get past Fenati, but it's another pretty good result for her in 10th place from 15th on the grid, gaining 5 positions there. McPhee looks like he just lost out to Antonelli. Up towards the line then, Hernandez again too far behind Arbolino as well. So then a little bit of a different finishing order than normal. Yama Masia actually wins the race. So initially, Mino is leading all on his own, massive margin ahead of everybody, but then Masia and Suzuki caught him up and put 3.5 seconds into him, so that's absolutely ridiculous there. Celestino Vietti comes home 4th, then McPhee actually did hang on ahead of Antonelli. Obviously we were watching McPhee because we thought he might drop back to the group with Foggia, Lopez, Fenati, Jackson and Toba, but not quite. So Jackson ends up with 10th place there. Hernandez ends up with 14th ahead of Sergio Garcia behind him because Fernandez dropped behind Garcia as well. In the Riders' Championship then, Antonelli still leads, but only by 5 points now ahead of Masia, so that championship fight is definitely hotting up a little bit. John McPhee, 10 points now clear of Daisy Jackson in 10th in the championship, so Daisy Jackson stays 11th. Rodrigo not having the best result there, so she extends her lead ahead of him quite a bit. Kaito Toba moves up a few positions, same with Salach. Renas moves down 2. Hernandez actually moves down another 1, so he's now 16th in the championship. And if you look at the points, he really pales in comparison to his teammate. Obviously 21 points for Jackson, 8 for Hernandez, but he's not doing the worst job in the world. Obviously Jackson is a better rider, that's why she's the number 1 rider in the team, because she had better stats by quite a way. It wasn't really that close, so Hernandez is not doing a bad job, to be fair to him. In the Teams Championship then, obviously McPhee having a pretty good result. I didn't even see Powie in that race, I don't think Powie got any points, but McPhee had a pretty good result still, so we're still 9 points then behind Petronas Sprinter Racing, and we're still fairly ahead of the Grassini team because obviously both Rodrigo and Alcoba are not scoring points. Obviously we did see Rodrigo earlier on when Hernandez went past Rodrigo. So then, that is the end of the Moto3 race for this one. Let's head into my race and try and figure out what's gone on, because for some reason I'm starting 12th. I didn't even get a chance to qualify in qualifying 2. So here we are then down on the grid. Maverick Vinales on pole position. Joao Mir in second position. So a little bit of a messed up qualifying grid here. You get some weird results when you mod the performance, that's for sure. Like, it really... the game doesn't like it very much. We're actually 15th place, apparently. Have I just read the standings wrong? I'm not sure. But apparently we're down in 15th. So that's where we're starting from. Not from 12th place, like I thought we were going to. 15th place. Now, I need to check that I've not read the qualifying one standings wrong. But as far as I knew, we were second and we were going through. But apparently not. Apparently we're down in 15th place on the grid, which is going to make for an entertaining race for you guys. I'm going soft medium, although that might be subject to change if now that I know where I'm coming from. Although it's only an extra 3 positions, so it's not the end of the world. Obviously, we saw how we surged through the pack in Austin and how we cleared off in Jerez. If we've got the same pace as Jerez, winning is going to be no problem from this far back. So let's get this race started, and hopefully we'll still win the race regardless.
The French Grand Prix, the riders are spread out on the grid. The light will soon go out and the Le Mans race will begin.
So I did just double check that off camera to see what position I should have got, and yeah, I got second in that session, so I should have gone through into qualifying too, not been put in 15th, but whatever. So waiting for the lights to go out here then at Le Mans, lights out and away we go. Obviously both my teammates on the front row of the grid as well, so hopefully the Suzuki does work pretty well here. So we've had a fantastic start, already up into 13th as we go towards the first corner around the outside of a KTM. Oh, and there goes Morbidelli back up the inside of us. There's Miller in front of us. So Jack Miller's not qualified very well. Valentino Rossi now at the inside of us. We've been boxed in between the two Petronases. Trying to get the cut back up the inside on the power as hard as we can. Miller kind of moves across on us a little bit. We've actually been out qualified by Alex Marquez. That's a rare sight. Rossi up the inside. Rossi wasn't having any of that through La Chapelle. Sort of just forcing me out of the way. So we're back down into 12th place now. Side by side with Morbidelli as we go down towards the museum. Then up the inside of Rossi. Looking for the inside of Miller as well. Can we get it? Miller has gone in a little bit wide. Sliding that rear tyre. Miller side by side with that Ducati power. Trying to run him out of road a little bit. Side by side with Miller back up into the top 10 then already. So we've passed 5 riders on this first lap. Similar start to our Moto3 rider Daisy Jackson. Up the inside still is Jack Miller, but we've kept ahead of him, trying to get the exit out of this corner in the slipstream of Alex Marquez to the left hand side of him, side by side with him, up into 9th place then. So Miguel Oliveira on the KTM ahead of us. So Oliveira having a really good race here at, I was going to say at his team's home Grand Prix, but he's not in the Tech 3 team anymore, he's in the factory team. Going defensive then, Oliveira around the outside we go, up into 8th position now then. Dovizioso just ahead of us, Rins ahead of him. So Rins starting on the front row, has dropped down into 6th, going to be 7th place in a minute if Dovizioso gets past him, and 8th once I get past a pair of them. As we go into the penultimate turn, I've done a stoppie, almost hitting Dovizioso at the back. That's definitely cost me some time. Luckily, no one's been able to get up the inside of me. Trying to get a good exit then out this last corner in the slipstream of Dovizioso. He's still behind Rins for now, getting the slipstream of Dovizioso. Get the slipstream off Rins, going to the outside of Rins, around the outside of him, up into 6th place. So Paul Spagro then just ahead of us. But it's been a fantastic first lap. 9 positions gained on that first lap. I'm not messing around here when the game just gives me some terrible qualifying position for absolutely no reason. Not messing around. So Joao Mir's actually also lost quite a few positions off that front row. Marc Marquez doing what he did last year, actually trying to check out at the front. I can't let him do that once again, obviously like he did last season. Obviously it doesn't matter in the terms of the points, but I'd just like to beat him anyway. So looking for the outside on Paul Spagro. Not quite going to pull it off there, but we're trying to straighten up the bike a little bit earlier than him on the power. There we go then down towards Garage Fair. We've got the run past Paul Spagro. We go hitting the brakes for Garage Fair. Got to watch that front end. But Fabio Quartararo on the podium right now, so he's finally having a decent race. Obviously his qualifying wasn't quite as good as his teammate, but he's making up for that in the race so far by being right behind him as we go towards the chicane. Then Mir going a little bit defensive. Obviously Joao Mir, my teammate, so I don't want to do anything rash to him. We've already passed one of my teammates on this lap, so if we can get past them both, we'll be top Suzuki already by the end of the second lap. I bet they didn't expect that, although after seeing Austin, they probably won't be as surprised as you would be if you hadn't seen that. That recovery ride, of course. So Joao Mir then down towards the penultimate turn. Mir still holding the inside. It's holding me up a little bit. So we go through the penultimate then, and then now the final corner on the power. Out of the last corner then, side by side with Mir as we come up towards the line. 32.0, 2/10 faster than Marc Marquez on that lap. The 2 factory Yamahas just ahead of us then. Fabio Quartararo actually looks like he might be trying to attack Maverick Vinales. Here we go then. Got a good run on Quartararo. Down towards turn 5. I've gone in really, really weirdly there. I was scared of that curb because that curb used to throw you up. It doesn't anymore, but I'm still scared of that curb on from MotoGP 19 and 18. I've been bitten by that curb way too many times. Through Muse then, or Museum. Quartararo a little bit wide, although that's probably just the racing line, but on this game you can take a different line that's quicker. So we've gone past Quartararo now then, down towards Garage Fair, so we've displaced him off the podium at his home event then. Maverick Vinales up next. Hopefully Quartararo doesn't drop through the order like a stone, because really he should be doing well in this season. I'm not sure why he's been struggling so much. Although these three out front should be the fastest riders theoretically. Round the outside of Maverick Vinales, like he was standing still there into the chicane. So up into second position now. Marc Marquez 1.5 seconds ahead. It's actually less than he was ahead last year when I finally got past Vinales on the second lap of the race. So he's not capitalised quite as much as he did on the previous season, getting out early. Although, to be fair, Vinales is going to be quicker this year because I've sort of given him the same performance as Marquez. But there you go, that's the performance of the Honda in this game over the Yamahas, really. I think that just kind of shows. But 31.1 there in that one. That's a good, nearly second quicker than we did in qualifying one, obviously, where we got second place in that session, but got given 15th on the grid. So Marc Marquez then, just ahead of us. We got plenty of laps to catch him up. Although I remember thinking that last year when I started hunting him down, thinking I've got plenty of laps to catch him and pass him, and I stuck behind him for way too many. But this bike can easily outbrake him. It's not like the KTM where it doesn't stop. The rear tyre's actually getting quite overheated, so I'm going to stick up to traction control 3 to try and save that. To hit the brakes for the Garage there then. 8 tenths behind Marc Marquez now. I remember once we got within a second at the last year at Le Mans, we basically caught him instantly after that. So we're only 4 tenths behind, so again we've half the gap in that section. Valentino Rossi goes past Oliveira apparently there then, so Rossi making up for what was quite a poor qualifying by the looks of it. So as we're about to finish the 4th lap then, not even half race distance, looks like we're going to be able to take the lead off of Marquez fairly easily. Out the last corner then, coming up towards the line, he's actually got a slightly better exit than me, but 30.8, so once again a new fastest lap of the race. I'm really finding the limits with this bike at this track now, and here we go towards the first corner. Actually it's the second corner, isn't it? Around the outside of Marquez on the brakes. We tried this last year and once again it's not worked out just like that, so we don't learn from our old mistakes apparently. So we let Marquez back through, then rejoin the track. We're quite a bit behind him, so I'm going to have to try and put my head back down and try and catch him up again. So here we go then, at the end of this lap we've caught right back up to the back of Marquez again. So we've got better pace in him, although this lap's not going to be very good then. It's going to be a 32.0, so we've definitely slowed down our pace now that we're behind him. And we are on lap 6, so I don't want to do the same thing as last year and get stuck behind him for too long. There we go, through Dunlop. Once again, we're now going for the move, but this time I actually set it up properly. We're a bit closer. He's round the outside though, he's trying to hang it in there. He's got it, but we get the switch back through turn 4, side by side with him. Not failing to his tricks again. So we go down towards La Chapelle. I've got the inside, and he swoops around the outside to Marc Marquez. Once again, a defensible masterclass at the French GP against myself. I do not want to lose to him 2 years in a row here. So we go into Museum at the inside. I go off. Oh, I basically lost the front then. I almost took the pair of us out as we go through Museum. Side by side as we go out of there then. Down towards Garage there. Try to go for the outside once again. I don't know why I've picked the outside. To be honest, we had a bit of contact with him. Oh, we've been bashed a little bit wide there. So once again, having a bit of contact with Marc Marquez. Although that was entirely my fault, I think. And I paid the price for that. I don't want to run out of laps like I did last year. I need to get my head down. I can't let him do it again. Here we go then, down towards his right-hander at the inside we go. I think this is where we dived at the inside last year as well, the S Blur. And we pulled it off once again. We ran wide into turn 12, and Marquez tried to go around the outside of turn 12 this time. But no, we've got up into the lead of the race. As we go to the penultimate turn then, 13. We've still got the lead now. Coming through the final turn, that rear tyre is actually starting to go off quite a bit, which would be a big problem for us. 32.2 then on that lap, half a second in front of Marquez. Got to get my head down, try and build a bit of a gap to him. So as we're about to start the last lap then, I've just got too little fuel, so I'm going to have to go into power mode 0, but we've got almost 2 seconds to mark, so we should be okay. So out the last corner then, coming up towards the line, another victory in this career mode once again, and this time from 15th on the grid. Also, we've actually got quite lucky this time then, because for some reason it's done the opposite to what it usually does. It's put Marquez further away than he should have been. Although I think I might have actually done my best lap, that 30.8 on the final lap of the race. So that could actually have just been how much I gained on him. But it looks like no one finished in that bracket. Once again, the 3 to 4 seconds. Looks like Marquez has got quite lucky, almost falling within that bracket. I think that's what makes them get the result where they finish a couple of minutes behind. So luckily no one's fell into that bracket. So Marc Marquez gets second place and Maverick Vinales third. Unfortunately for Quartararo, just missing out on a home GP podium then. Joao Mir, my teammate, doing a pretty decent job there in 5th position. 6th place then for Andrea Dovizioso, 7th for Bola Espargaro, 8th for Alex Rins, 9th for Rossi, managing to salvage 9th, and 10th for Jack Miller. So Jack Miller really been struggling ever since Qatar. So in the Riders' Championship then, not too many, actually I was going to say not too many changes, but there has been a few. Valentino Rossi drops from 3rd to 6th, and Marc Marquez goes from 6th to 3rd. So they've actually just swapped positions outright there. Marquez now only 2 points down on Andrea Dovizioso, so he did actually take a sizable chunk out of him in that race. Obviously Dovizioso not finishing too well. Espargaro now 1 point ahead of Rins and Rossi, who are joint on points. So Rossi's still top Yamaha in the championship so far, so fair play to him. With Vinales only 4 points further back, Miller now drops to 8th in the championship, but Quartararo rises up into 9th. Mir goes up into 10th, Alex Marquez loses a couple. Morbidelli actually gains a few, even though he got quite a bad result there, to be honest. Miguel Oliveira loses one, Bagnaia loses a few. I think it's sort of the effects of Austin are still being felt, where some of the riders got slightly better results than they should have been, and I think they're now starting to actually fall into the right places, such as Bagnaia and Oliveira. In the Teams Championship then, I was right in my prediction. Repsol Honda move ahead of mission winner Ducati, now up to 2nd position in the Teams Championship. Obviously mission winner Ducati then therefore must be in 3rd place. The factory Yamaha team finally moves ahead of the independent Yamaha team, obviously with Quartararo and Vinales now bringing some consistent points along. I've not changed the performance in any way for those guys, it's just they seem to be doing a little bit better again now, which is always nice to see. And then my other prediction, the Constructors' Championship then, Honda move up to 2nd ahead of Ducati, and we've now got a 36-point lead in the Constructors' Championship. So no crashes or anything like that. Obviously, in the last race I forgot to have a look at Aleix Espargaro's crash, that got pointed out to me in the comments, so apologies for that. But this time, no crashes to look at at all. So we'll head into the career hub and we'll sort out anything we've got to there, and I'll see if I can do anything with the Moto3 team, but I don't think I can. I think all the developments are still ongoing. So then this weekend we gained 13,200 reputation points, because obviously we get nothing for qualifying because we didn't meet the objective, even though it just didn't even give me a chance to do that. I'm still not 100% sure what's happened with that. If anyone else has had this glitch happen before, let me know. But yeah, it does seem like quite an odd glitch to happen. But we do gain a lot of money this time. Again, 112,506, which brings us up to 1,666,020 credits. So getting 80,000 from the Moto3 race, because both of my riders finishing in decent positions there. Let's have a look at the team prestige then. Goes up 210. We got 400 research data this race as well. So that's fantastic to see. So no notifications on my front then. Let's have a look at the Moto3 Junior team. Obviously the team development, they're all doing things on there. But we can now upgrade the engine. Actually, we've got enough points to upgrade the engine. So 1% performance during qualifying races, apparently. Must be qualifying and race, surely. So now I've got 250 left, so we haven't got enough to spend on any other upgrade. But if they start bringing in decent amounts of R&D, that'll help. Obviously, we've got 6 weeks left as well on the team development stuff for the R&D, so that they bring slightly better R&D. I keep saying R&D too many times now. A little bit annoying, isn't it? But that's where we'll bring this episode to a close then. So a fun race for me, actually, having to fight my way through the grid, having to start a bit further down, sorry, should I say. It doesn't happen very often. I mean, obviously last year with the KTM, I had to do a lot of comeback races like that, but it was different because I was starting further down the order, but because I was genuinely there on pace. So I would be aggressive on the first couple of laps, gain some positions, because my race pace is always better than qualifying pace. A couple of times it wasn't, but majority of the time my race pace was always better. The AI's race pace is just not as good as their qualifying pace, basically. But I hope you did enjoy that video anyway. Obviously, quite a hectic race. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Hope you're all staying safe, and I shall see you in the next one.